Okay. Okay. Let's see. How do I change my screen? All right, guys, hold on. Let me figure out what I did wrong with my screen. I can't see. Okay. What's happening? Oh, no, hold on. Oh, hold on. I think I figured it out. There we go. Okay. All right. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so sorry. I had a teacher cadet 1 and 2 are my morning electives, and it ran long and I didn't even realize what time it was until it was too late, obviously. So my sincere apologies. Let me finish getting everybody in from the waiting room, and then we should be ready to rock and roll. Okay. Feel free to join me by showing your lovely faces this morning, so I don't have to stare at a bunch of names, but you know, it's okay either way. Alrighty, so good morning, good morning. Let's go ahead and get started. We are continuing with section 2, which should be pretty easy for us to go through since we actually did most of our talking and looking at the Spanish-American War last week. So hopefully this is a good review. That's what I'm hoping anyway, okay? Because you do have, let's see, let me pull up you guys' American 2 calendar. Thursday, you've got another unit quiz coming up to where we are reviewing what we've gone over with imperialism. So hopefully this is all sticking. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's look at section 2, Spanish-American War, and everything that goes into it, and then we'll jump to your packets and make sure that nobody has any questions. Okay, all righty, let's kick it. Oh, couple of reminders really quick before we get into it. So this is week 5. This is week 5. Next week is week 6. So after next week, we have finished with the first 6 weeks. We'll be preparing report cards. So obviously in the next week and a half, I'll be working on getting grades caught back up and making sure that everything's in PowerSchool. So make sure that you guys are staying on top of that. We do have another chapter that we're putting together to make this a combo unit, kind of similar how we did Wild West and Cities together. We're going to do imperialism and progressives together. So you'll have a unit quiz Thursday. We'll start into unit or chapter 15, and then you'll have, once we finish progressives, we'll have a unit test to put everything together. Okay, so that is what's coming. Make sure that you're following the class calendar. If you didn't get one emailed to you, I can also put one up in the Google Classroom and make sure that you can see it and you know what's coming up, okay? And I'm going to make sure that I'm watching the chat this time. So if anybody thinks of anything, any questions, anything else that you want to go over and talk about, or if you miss something as we're going through it, slow me down and I'll go back over it, okay? But my sincere apologies that I messed anybody up this morning. Just lost track of time. It was a good conversation and I lost track of time. Okie doke. All right, let's make sure you got everything about the Spanish-American War. So section 2 has about 4 questions, and then you've got a lot of IDs that go along with section 4. All right, number 10 says, what conditions led to the Cuban Rebellion of 1895? And again, you can just list this out. listed out in a Google Doc, however you want to do it. They were being mistreated. They were being abused. They said that they were being controlled by tyrants, complaining that the Spanish monarch was a tyrant. Just terrible pay, terrible working conditions, being paid slave wages, just being badly mistreated. You can put that too if you want to, badly mistreated. So of course our hearts start bleeding for them because we remember being a colony ourselves back in the day. Number 11, why did many Americans blame Spain for the explosion of the USS Maine? Well, again, we just assumed, who else could it be? Had to be the Spanish, right? We needed a just cause for war, and anytime American blood is shed, that is just cause for war. So, we were kind of looking for an excuse, not that, and I should say this, not that we wanted American lives to be lost, but we finally had just cause whenever the USS Maine exploded. And story has it that it really wasn't the Spanish, that it was a faulty missile that went off and caused the ship to explode. But anyway, it doesn't matter. We blamed it on the Spanish. We just assumed it was them. It couldn't be anybody else. It has to be the Spanish, right? All right, 12, how prepared was the U.S. Army as compared to the U.S. Navy to fight a war against Spain? So we realized pretty quickly what we needed to fix and adjust and make better. Our Navy was on point. We had really pushed to spend a lot of time and money and energy in making sure that we had this brand spanking new modern Navy. So the Navy was impressive, but we realized we needed to go a long ways as far as training and technology and resources for our Army. So we realized that between the Spanish-American War and World War I, there's a lot of training and new technology that will be needed to make sure that our Army is just as good as our Navy. So, some historians argue that the Spanish-American War was a good opportunity for us to kind of see where we needed to tweak things to make us be a legit world power with a great military force. So Army, better techniques and technology. Okay. All right, 13. What were the arguments for and against establishing an American empire? All right, so you can make yourself like a column, like for and against. And if you put a couple things for, power and trade, or power and business, those are the reasons for us becoming a world power, right? It's all about money, and it's all about power and opportunity, right? Now, arguments against. Some arguments against could be we need to fix things here at home. Hashtag working on us, right? Fix things here at home. And work on our own business, our own military issues. Well, I mean, really focusing on things here at home kind of summarizes all those individual pieces. We got to work on workers' rights and issues. We got to work on segregation issues. We got to work on political corruption. We've got all these things that we need to work on here at home versus worrying about things outside of the U.S. So you could summarize on that one. All right, so there are a ton of IDs that go along with your section 2. We talk about most of these, but there's a few, like for example, 14 is Jose Marti, and he is a Cuban rebel Cuban rebel that's going to get everything started and start pushing for U.S. intervention. 15, you can put 15 and 16. William Randolph Hearst and Joseph Pulitzer are magazine and newspaper writers, or journalists. You can put them as journalists. Both of them are writers. Both of them are trying to encourage the war. They're using yellow journalism to encourage the war, which goes into 17, yellow journalism, exaggerating the truth. Simple as that. Yellow journalism, exaggerating the truth. Let's see, 18, talking about jingoism, is the idea of manipulating, right? It's kind of the idea of manipulating facts. Hold on, I was trying to see if I could find a more simplified definition for that one. But it is something else that our newspapers and articles are all talking about, except for you're trying to use more patriotic motivation. You're trying to stretch things, but also pull in the idea of go USA, right? So let's see if we can summarize that a little bit better. Using patriotism as a means to start something, as again, kind of another way of exaggerating our reason for intervening. You know, we think that we're superior, that we know best, that we should be on top, you know, of this situation and help those that are less fortunate. We see as the Cubans are less fortunate. Okay, anyway, that was a long explanation. Last two, 19 is the Platt Amendment. And the Platt Amendment is what we wanted the Cubans to include in their new constitution. And the Platt Amendment is going to say that we are going to act as a protectorate, almost a big brother of Cuba. We're going to guarantee their independence, and we're going to ensure that they never have any other country that tries to come back and tries, whoops, hold on. There we go. Sorry about that. That no other country tries to come back and take them over as a colony again. Okay, let's see. So again, they get their independence and we are a protectorate. And then the last one is the Fort Acre Act. And in this one, this is kind of how we get something out of it. We're going to ask that in exchange for our allyship, that we get a naval base, Guantanamo Bay. We get a naval base out of this. And these are kind of the spoils of war, of what we get out of it, that, you know, we will support them and have an allyship, thanks to us helping them get their independence. We get a naval base out of it. Again, I'm trying to think of a better way to summarize all that. I know that's a lot. Yeah, just friendship and naval base, I guess we could say that. All right, so that's it for your IDs and SQs. Now we're going to jump to section 2 in your packet. And so 14-2 in your packet. Again, that should be all review from what you did on the map and looking through your IDs last week. Number 1, it says, how did the U.S. and Cuba become closely linked economically? Plantations. All right, plantations. We were renting land. There you go, renting land. renting land to start up plantations, sugarcane plantations. So we had several businesses and business owners that were in Cuba. Number 2, who's going to lead the rebellion? Jose Marti. And again, he's on your ID and SQ sheet if you need to know how to spell that. Jose Marti. 3, what caused most Americans to side with the Cuban rebels? Again, our experience of being a colony. Best way to summarize it. We remember being a colony too. Number 4, why did President McKinley finally send out the USS Maine to Cuba? And it was to watch or observe to make sure that no U.S. businesses were being messed with. But you can just put observation purposes. Observation purposes. Okay, where am I at? All right, number 5. Where was the USS Maine when it exploded in 1898? Havana Harbor. And again, that should be something that you looked at when you were doing your map activity. So number 5, Havana Harbor. Number 6, how did Americans regard Spain at the time of the USS Maine explosion? We saw them evil tyrants. Best way to summarize. Evil tyrants. They were being these savage dictators. Yeah, let's see. Number 7, who defeated the Spanish in the Philippines? Again, that was from your map activity. That's George Dewey. George Dewey, D-E-W-Y, George Dewey. Number 8 says, what effect did tropical diseases have on Spanish forces in Cuba? Diseases killed more than soldiers, or what am I saying? Than bullets. Diseases killed more people than bullets. Yellow fever, malaria were the 2 that were killing people left and right. But people died more from diseases than they did from bullets. Number 9, where did both sides know the war ultimately would be fought? Most of it, like, I don't know if you'd say 80-85% of the war was fought in Cuba. So one word answer, Cuba. For number 9, Cuba. 10 says, why was defeating the Spanish fleet important to the U.S.? It was practice, right? A way for us to practice and see how strong our new Navy was. Yeah, a way for us to show our new technology and strength, show our strength. 11, how did the number of Americans who died in training camps compare to those killed in battle in Cuba? Again, this is kind of a repeat question in a way. More people died from disease in training camps than they did in the actual battle. So more people died in training camps and, injuries and disease really. But more people died in training camps. And I don't think I have the number or statistic with me, or else I would give you that part. But like I said, it's kind of a repeat question. All right, 12, one of my favorite questions. Who were the Rough Riders? Theodore Roosevelt. Theodore Roosevelt and this group of ragtag, cowboys and politicians and lawyers, just kind of a weird mix of volunteers. They were all volunteers. So you can just put TR, Theodore Roosevelt, and a group of volunteers. All right, 13, I actually just answered that. I didn't mean to, but 13, who were the commanders of the Rough Riders? And it really was mainly Theodore Roosevelt. He did have assistants, but we kind of acknowledge and name him as one of the head guys over the Rough Riders. So Theodore Roosevelt, again, going to be a future president. Number 14, what was the main economic argument for annexing the Philippines? It was all about trade. It was a trade opportunity, business, lots of money. It was gonna, oh, and it was also gonna give us another naval base. It was gonna give us another naval base. It was gonna offer more resources and trade opportunities. So actually 3 things: business, resources, naval base. All right, lost my place. 15, what did the 4-Acre Act mean for Puerto Rico? That Puerto Rico would become a territory. Puerto Rico would become a territory of the U.S. All right, Puerto Rico is a territory. 16, where did William Howard Taft improve education, transportation, and health care? The Philippines. Philippines. And if you need to know how to spell Philippines, it's in question 14. Philippines. Fun fact, Taft, who is also going to be a future president, was actually governor of the Philippines during this time period. So there you go. All right, so that is it for section 2 for today. So that takes care of section 2 in your packet. That takes care of section 2 in your IDs and SQs. So tomorrow we will finish section 3. You do need to make sure that you are using those other 3 pages in your packet to do a review on. And I guess I keep forgetting that whenever I scan in, I don't know why, but for some reason the stories, when I scan in the stories, it's not very clear. So the story on Hawaii, we'll talk about it and answer those questions tomorrow. So make sure that you're working on the timeline page, you're working on the, what's the other one? There's a timeline and a content vocabulary, which is excellent practice for your upcoming quiz. Okay, so here's what I want to know. Number 1, who has questions? And number 2, is there something that I went over too fast and you need me to go back over the answer? Anybody at all? Questions? Anything else that I need to repeat or go back over? Okay then, y'all were quiet this morning. Okay. All right, so again, just a reminder of what's coming up. We finished section 2 today. Tomorrow you're gonna finish section 3 and turn in your stuff. Let's see, I don't remember without pulling it up on Google Classroom what I had put down as, let's see, the due dates. All right, so packets is due Friday, so plenty of time on the packet. And then the IDs, let's see, the IDs. Oh, okay, my bad. I'll go in and fix the IDs. I'd put the IDs as being due today, but we haven't done section 3, so I'll scoot that till tomorrow. So my apologies on that. I'll actually go in right now and edit and change the ID due date to tomorrow. So IDs due tomorrow, and I would encourage you, if you finish the packet tomorrow, to go ahead and turn it in so you don't forget and drag your feet waiting to get it done on Friday. Okay, all right, so I fixed that. And then your next unit quiz is set for Thursday, okay? So we'll finish unit 3, we'll do, and if you wanna jump in on a review session, we'll do a review session on Thursday. You'll do your unit quiz, turn your packet in on Friday. But I'm probably starting tomorrow gonna go ahead and put in your progressive unit stuff. Always up to you if you want to start in on stuff early or not. Completely up to you guys, okay? But we're in week 5. We got to make it through week 5 and week 6 again. The decision should be coming out next Tuesday if we're going A/B, and hopefully you guys have already decided one way or the other if you're staying all virtual or if you're planning on coming back if we do A/B. So stay posted. Like I said, we got another week before we find out that information, okay? All right, stick with me another week and a half and we'll be finished with the first 6 weeks already. Anybody else? No questions, concerns? Okay. All righty, guys. Happy Tuesday.